Have you ever thought about creating your own comic? Today, I'll talk a bit about the journey of making mine. For a very long time, I had a story, or rather, several stories in my head, and I wasn't sure how to tell them. I created some storyboards thinking I wanted a short film, even explored some 2D animation at some point. Then, I wrote about 100 pages of a book that ended up being too complicated. But some elements were interesting. The scale of the story always felt too big, but gradually, I narrowed it down to essential pieces, whether it was the title, characters, their names, or brief moments in the story. These elements form the DNA of the project. It required a tremendous amount of research and learning, as well as trial and error, and what I have learned about storytelling. During this long search, I stumbled upon something that changed everything. When developing the backstories of each character, I realized something. The life of the villain in my story was far more interesting than everything else I have wrote to that point. And something just clicked. I began to combine ideas and elements from all previous work and its characters to form a single, more compact story with a more solid hook, and it will be a medieval fantasy story with romance, drama, and some action. A villain's origin story. And so, the draft for Albdur, Tale of the Witch Queen, was born. Here we met a young fairy who falls in love with a human boy, which is completely against the rules of her tribe. For breaking these rules, she will face severe punishment. Did she deserve that? We will be the judges of that. After several revisions and creating an outline of the complete story, I decided to focus only on one part to scale down the project to something manageable. I was tired of having so many ideas that it seemed it will never finish anything. But that wasn't going to happen again. I started creating the first drawings and pages in large format. I created reference images in 3ds Max with DAS characters to accurately draw poses and perspectives. Despite making good progress, it was still very challenging, and I frequently had to go back to correct previous pages. I remember a quote from a comic artist during a talk that stuck in my mind. He said, "We get paid to draw, not to erase or make corrections." These words are very wise. The more I went back to correct things, the less I progressed. After months of hard work and some reflection, I decided it would be better to start publishing the story online, forcing me to continuously upload pages and chapters without the ability to go back. Additionally, this will also allow me to receive feedback from the public. The idea was reinforced when the great Stefan Sejic, which name I really doubt is pronounced that way, recommended in one of his streams, "Upload your comic for free to every site you can. If no one knows your work or your story or you, it won't tell anyway." I contacted people I knew who were knowledgeable about comics and webtoons, and they all gave me great advice. And so, the first tangible version of this idea was published on Webtoons in October 2022. Through this process, I learned a great deal and maximized the tools at my disposal, or identified new ones I needed to create, such as 2D assets to facilitate background drawings, using VR to construct scenes and draft entire chapters, assets in Blender to create settings and plan camera angles and scenes, developing structures of character heads in ZBrush to maintain proportions in my drawings, Photoshop tools and brushes that help me work faster and consistent. I also received a lot of criticism and ideas from the public and friends, thanks to streamers who read the comic live. I could identify story errors, parts that were not well understood. Also, the reactions of the people in the chat told me issues I thought were important turned out to be that important at all. And moments I considered insignificant have become super important. Thanks to all this feedback, I could execute the second part of the plan better. The creation of a corrected and remastered version, the definitive way I wanted this project to look. I will fix some dialogues, correct scenes, and their order to shape better the story, redraw some important moments, expand situations where necessary, and draw completely new scenes that explain things better. I'm not saying the result is a perfect story or a masterpiece, but it is definitely more polished. This comic or graphic novel has 97 pages and has been a labor of great patience and effort. The vague initial ideas or ingredients of certain characters have been around for over 15 to 20 years, although the solid version people know has only been around 2 years. And I must say, it is one of the most challenging things I've created, who has brought me the most value. It has given me a new skill in drawing, taught me about storytelling, gave me new friendships that have even become characters in the comic itself, people who have supported me when I need the most, and it has built confidence in me. But most importantly, it has freed up the space this project occupied on my mind. From the moment I put the pencil down to the paper, I began to feel that relief. I used to wake up in the middle of the night thinking about the ideas for it, and one of the things that motivated me was thinking, what if when I'm old I wondered, what would have happened if I had done that comic or told that story? Maybe nothing incredible happens, but surely more than one person might like it. And I didn't want to feel the regret of not trying. If you want to discover the result of this labor, I invite you to acquire this medieval fantasy fairy tale, recommended for audiences over 15 years old. Just access the link in the description. If you like this video, please leave a like or share it so others can enjoy it too. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to write comments. Now I ask you, what has been the most challenging project you have worked on? And do you have any specific questions about my comic? That's all for today. See you in the next video.